made it to the Sweet 16, everyone, and there's plenty of Cinderella so far, as 4 double-digit seeds have advanced to play this coming weekend. But even with all the upsets, 3 of the 4 number 1 seeds still remain. So are any of these Cinderellas going to break into the party at the Final Four? We will tell you tonight. Welcome to Father, Son, and Holy Sport. I'm G-Man from Ohio. That's T-Money there from San Francisco. What's up, T?
What's going on, G-Man? Fun weekend. Just came back from Ohio and surprised G. Flew in,
yes.
I had a good time, watched some March Madness, but back on the West Coast now to do my Pac-12 digging after what was an awesome weekend for them. Excited to talk some basketball.
Yeah. You're coming from the exciting part of the country there in the Pac-12 where they know how to play March Madness basketball.
Yes, that is for sure. They have surprised a lot of people, and that's because there was a hell of a lot of upsets this tournament.
Yes, there were. There's been 12 upsets, which are defined as we've talked about, 5 spots lower than your opponent is an upset. You got to be 5 spots lower. There's been 12 of those, but that's one shy of the tournament record set in 1985 and equaled in 2014. So there has been upsets like this before.
So the way to frame this is the most through Sweet 16 at the moment. So there are still capabilities to beat this in the entire tournament if we have a Cinderella run. But through Sweet 16, 12 upsets, 5 seed difference, most ever. So it's been an exciting tournament. I mean, it's been amazing to watch.
It has been fun to watch.
Much fun. 14 or 13 seeds, 15 seeds, bunch of double digits. UCLA coming from the play-in game, double-digit seed. I mean, it's just been so fun. But the one I feel like we really got to talk about is that Oral Roberts win over Ohio State. 15 seed beating a 2 seed does not happen a lot. And they actually make it to the Sweet 16 now as a 15 seed. Second ever to do it. Remember, Dunk City back in the day from Florida Gulf Coast.
That's right. Florida Gulf Coast was the first in 2013 to reach the Sweet 16 as that 15 seed. Yeah, you're right. And Oral Roberts, I mean, who knows where Oral Roberts is even at? I mean, how does this team get by our Buckeyes? I mean, it's over for them, though. I'll tell you that. They are not going to beat Arkansas. They're 11.5-point underdogs, and it's good night, Oral Roberts. And don't you ever beat our Buckeyes again.
Yeah, that was a bad Buckeyes, man. I mean, that was a bad look. That was the first start to what was a bad weekend for the Big Ten. But, man, the Buckeyes, I mean, what the hell happened? I mean, Ohio State should have won this thing easy. But I know you're liking Arkansas, but don't sleep on these guys. The top Roberts, okay, they have Abrams, who's one of the highest scorers in the nation. He averages almost 25 points a game. And then they got a beast in the middle who averages 19 and 10. Don't sleep on these guys. Surprisingly, they are a very, very good team and very well coached. So they're going to give Arkansas a run for their money, I think.
Well, anything can happen. But right now, there's 3 number 1 seeds, Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, that are all, if you look at the odds to win the tournament on DraftKings, those 3 are the top 3. So we still got those number 1 seeds out there. And the 4th favorite to win the tournament is the 2 seed. That's Houston. So still all those favorites kind of hanging out there. Could it be, an all 1-2 seed final?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Now, don't sleep on Loyola. Right after they won, they may be the 5th right now in Vegas favorite. But right after they won versus Illinois, they became the 3rd favorite to win this tournament. The 3rd favorite. So they still have a very good chance to win this thing, even though they are the 12th highest seed remaining. Don't forget, they're just an 8th seed. So, I mean, they have a chance to win this thing. Krutwig is Conference Player of the Year. They just look dynamic.
We're going to talk more about them when we get to our picks, I'm sure. But I think the best team, I don't know who you think is the best looking team so far, but to me, I watched all the games, man. And you know, I love Alabama to get to the Final Four. You can see my Zoom background.
Yeah.
Come on, Tide. Let's keep it going. I've been riding you all the way through the SEC tournament, y'all. Not Alabama. Take it. Get to the Final Four. And we're talking next week. We'll have 4 teams left, and you better be one of them, Alabama. But I think the best team that I've seen, even better than Alabama, is Baylor. Baylor looked dominant. They won their 2 games by 37 points. I think they look the best so far. What do you think?
Yeah, they looked really great. Their guards are something else. They're so fast. They're lightning quick. I like them, but man, this has got to be Baylor's to lose now. I mean, all these upsets, all these, Michigan's lost their best guy. Alabama, I don't trust. Baylor, was shaky at the end of the year. Illinois is gone. Ohio State's gone. Houston coming from the American. Can they really make a push? Gonzaga was the overwhelming favorite and has to be even a higher favorite now. They better not lose this thing. At least get to the Final Four here.
Especially after you gave the chugging chant and called them out.
I did.
And they know you want them to win this tournament.
T-Money,
don't let T-Money do the chug and chant on you. Okay.
So do not lose this, especially with Iowa gone in your bracket as your 2 seed. So don't lose this thing, Gonzaga.
I think the biggest disappointment, of course, the Buckeyes was bad, but I think the biggest disappointment had to be Texas. Come on, Big 12.
That was tough.
Come on. I mean, look at Shaka Smart. Shaka Smart, he led Virginia Commonwealth to the Final Four in 2011. Everybody thinks, Shaka Smart's this great coach. Do you know that since that VCU Final Four run in 2011, 10 years ago, Shaka Smart's 2-7 in the NCAA tournament? Wow. Come on, man. The Longhorns were coming off the Big 12 tournament crown. They win the crown. They had a strong regular season, finished 3rd in the conference. They win the Big 12 tourney. And they follow that up by losing to Abilene Christian. Come on. And UCLA went on and smoked Abilene. So it's something. Laura Roberts beat Ohio State, but then they went on to beat Florida. Whereas Texas lost to Abilene and they got smoked by UCLA.
Yeah, that was wild. I had Texas in my Final Four just like you. So that really, really hurt me. Very disappointed in that team. Abilene Christian's president of their school came out and said, though, that winning that game versus Texas generated $120 million in revenue for their school. So if that's true, good for them. It's a hell of a lot of money for just upsetting Texas. But hey, I'm go a different direction and biggest disappointment here. I like Iowa. I thought that they had a really good team and could make a push and surprise Gonzaga potentially, and Oregon just throttled them. They throttled them. They were in a different class. They went small on Garza, even though he had a great game. It was a throttling. So that was my biggest disappointment.
Well, I mean, Oregon scored 95 on them. Garza kicked butt, and you saw why he's potential number 1 pick.
Gary.
I know you love that. That's why I say that.
Oh my God.
Garza was dominant in that game.
He won't go top 10, but he was dominant. He was dominant.
I mean, they scored 80. How many did he have of those 80?
36.
Yeah. Okay.
36. He had a great game.
He had a little bit of help. But what else, man? What else you got going out there? What are you thinking about beyond the college basketball? What's up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did want to mention here before we leave college basketball, I got to give my condolences to my West Coast folks. I apologize. You showed me up here. Pac-12, you went 9-1 and are just killed it. So it's shocking to see them go 9-1. The Big Ten was not good, but I got to give Pac-12 the props. I'm going to eat crow here. I thought they were a horrible conference, but man, did they show us. They have multiple teams. Oregon State was projected to be last in the Pac-12 this year, and they're in the Sweet 16. So they just have a really good group of teams, surprisingly, and it's probably because many people couldn't even watch them because they're on the East Coast. Meanwhile, I'm on the West Coast, And I doubted him. And I apologize, but good for you, Pac-12, showing people how it's done.
Yeah, definitely some issues this year with rankings and seeding. But people were confused,
Yes.
obviously.
Yeah.
Who does these rankings and seedings? Only USC was in the Associated Press top 25. That's the Associated Press. That's
Yeah.
not even, some committee. That's the Associated Press, supposed to be watching these games. Only USC was in the top 25, and you've got USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Oregon State now in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. I mean, it was good for them. They killed it. I'll eat crow on that one. So good for the West Coast. And I like Oregon a lot. They just look legit after going small ball, jacking up a ton of threes, taking out a number 2 seed, probably the highest 2 seed in Iowa, but good for the Pac-12.
We
So,
got to go back and analyze the T. Ross chug and chant and see, after you call someone out, what percent of the time do they actually turn it around and get back on track?
yeah, I probably have a very high percentage of telling these
That
people.
might be interesting to look at, because you did call out the Pac-12 and they came in.
They showed the hell
and
up.
And you called out Gonzaga. We're going to find out about Gonzaga.
Gonzaga
You called them
proved
out.
me wrong, but hey, I'm not going to give them kudos for making the Final Four. Okay, the bracket is horrible. Your 2 seeds gone. I don't want to hear you making the Final Four. You want to be elite, win me a championship, and then to do it. You guys have a great team. But we'll move on. We'll switch gears here a little bit, and let's jump into real quick here. NFL, we got a couple signings I thought we should talk about. 2 wide receivers. Kenny Galladay signs with the Giants, big 4-year, $72 million contract. Good for him. I think he's a great 1v1, jump ball kind of receiver. I think he's a good addition for the Giants. What'd you think about that?
Hey, Giants are making moves. They think that they got the quarterback for the future. I don't know, but they signed Galladay. They signed Kyle Rudolph as a tight end. Pretty good contract there. John Ross came over for a little bit of money, but they got John Ross, who was highly regarded when he was brought in through the draft. I think they're trying to do what Buffalo did. They looked at Buffalo and they said, hey, Josh Allen went from the league's worst deep ball passer to among the best, had the largest year-over-year rise in completion percentage in NFL history. You look at completion percentage last year versus this year, and look what happens. And why did he do that? Because they brought in Diggs.
Yeah.
Diggs led the NFL in catches and receiving yards. Giants think that they can do the same thing with Galladay, and Jones all of a sudden is elite. We'll see, man. We'll see.
No, I mean, I totally agree with you there. And they kind of remind me of each other. They both can run. They're both bigger, but not accurate. Now, the biggest thing with Daniel Jones here, he is the worst turnover prone person in the NFL. He averages 2 turnovers, whether fumble, interception a game. That's where he needs to improve. But I think that this move, along with Kyle Rudolph, John Ross, and don't forget the bringing back Saquon, who was out all last year, they got a good core of people now with Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard. I mean, they have a good receiving and running back core. This is the year. Daniel Jones, you probably got about 10 games. And if you are not in contention for a playoff spot in the NFC East, you're probably gone. That's why they made this move. And I think it really speaks to Daniel Jones.
Giants finished 6-10 this year. Washington football team beat him at 7-9. Who do you think wins that? And Dallas is 6-10. So what do you think? Who wins that NFC East now with Washington, the Giants, and the Cowboys? I'm not including the Eagles in that.
Yeah, the Eagles are going to be bottom feeders. I actually do like the Giants in this division. I think they had a really good skid there. I think they went 4-1 at one point. Their defense is really good. They didn't have Saquon Barkley. They shored up the offensive line a little bit. This comes down to Daniel Jones just not turning the ball over. I don't need him to be Josh Allen of last year because of how bad this division is. I just need him to be competent. But if he's not that, it's still turning the ball over, Washington.
Hey, moving on to about another signing. What do you think about Juju? That signing there. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, Juju he thought he was going to get a 4-year, $72 million deal probably. But I think a lot of people around the league have seen him without Antonio Brown and realize this guy might not be a number 1 receiver. And I think he found that out. $8 million 1 year to return to the Steelers. Ugh.
So the Steelers got a good deal, is the point.
Oh yeah, good for the Steelers. Hell
It's
yeah.
like when you decide to leave a company, you go on and try to get a job, you don't get one, and you go back to the company that you're going to leave, and you're like, I guess I'll stay, you know.
Yeah.
But he's still, he entered the NFL in 2017. That wasn't even long ago. He ranks 13th in receptions, 15th in receiving yards, 12th in receiving touchdowns. So he's better than the wide receiver ones at half the league.
No, I disagree. He had one phenomenal year because Antonio Brown was getting triple teamed and he went off, made the Pro Bowl. I think he had 1,400 yards. Big Ben threw for the most yards in the NFL that year as well. So it was just an air raid offense. Now Big Ben's arm shot. He is getting double teamed every time because he's the number one. He's not as good. He's not as good.
So you would not keep, if you had a fantasy team, you would not keep Juju.
No, he's not. He's not that great.
Juju, I don't know, man. They go to him in the clutch. They go to him when they need something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they like Claypool more than him, but yeah, I'm not a fan. So that was.
I think the real winners in free agency. When I look at this thing, are the people that kept their players from not going free agent. Tampa Bay, keeping their team together. They prevented free agency. Buffalo, same thing. They kept their players, 2 teams that were really good last year, Tampa Bay and Buffalo, keeping their teams together. We had Emmanuel Sanders come into Buffalo where they dropped John Brown. So I think if I had to pick, I'd probably take Emmanuel Sanders over John Brown. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would for sure. I like both teams. Tampa Bay did great. So yeah.
All right, man. So what else you got going on in the Team Money world?
Last thing I feel like we got to talk about. LeBron James, my guy.
Are you going to show us the poster on your wall? You actually have a poster of LeBron on your wall.
I could just pull it off the Cloffice wall right now. My beautiful LeBron James here.
Team Money's Cloffice.
Beautiful, the Cloffice.
I mean, you can't beat it.
LeBron James goes down in the middle of a game and he twists his ankle, high ankle sprain, expected to miss up to a month. I mean, if you watch the play, this guy's an Iron Man more than people think. They're like, oh, he's injured and he's getting old. Anyone else, if you watch that hit, that's a torn ACL. That's a torn ACL, but he's an Iron Man. And all he gets is a high ankle sprain. Trust me, I know about ACLs, okay? Trust me on that. But I'm telling you, this guy is going to come back. Can the team stay relevant? That's the biggest thing. The 2 seed when he went down, I mean, they might be the 7 or 8 seed when he gets back. It's going to be interesting.
Well, we're 8 weeks in the playoffs. The average time to miss on a high ankle sprain, not the LeBron's average, but the average is 5.5 weeks. We're 8 weeks in the playoffs. Average miss time, 5.5 weeks. And then once they return after 5.5 weeks, there's 2 weeks of load management. So he could be full go by the time they hit the playoffs. They're in 3rd place right now, but they are going to lose spots to both Denver and Portland. Most likely are going to pass them. The Clippers, Denver, and Portland all pass them. So they're down there on the bottom, just barely getting in as a low seed.
Yeah, and luckily for them, this year is a weird year where they're doing a play-in game for the 7th and 8th seeds. So even if they fall all the way to 10th, they still have a chance of playing in versus the 7 and 8 seed to take their spot, which I would obviously trust LeBron to do as long as he's healthy and Anthony Davis is healthy.
And what is amazing, Anthony Davis is still sidelined with a calf strain. These guys are out. There's a risk. They're probably going to be a 7 seed or something. And they're still, the odds to win the NBA title, they're still second behind the Brooklyn Nets. Now, how does that happen?
Because if they're healthy, they're the best team because they have the best player and a top 5 player. So that's all that matters. If they're healthy, if they're both healthy, they should be the favorite.
Odds to win it all. Brooklyn Nets 11-4. Lakers are 3-1. Clippers are next at 11-2. And then we've got the Bucks and the Jazz at the 4th and 5th favorite to win the title. What do you think about that group of 5 there? I know you like the Lakers, but what do you like out of the rest of the group?
I like the Sixers. I think they're really good. The Bucks have no chance. The Jazz are fake. I'd take the Clippers as the third best team, and Philly right there with them. Actually, I take Philly over the Clippers. I like Philly maybe more than I like the Nets, actually. But I take the Lakers, Philly, Nets, Clippers.
Well, hey, before we go on and get into the rest of the show, I want to mention T Money talked about golf. I got to mention the T Money did beat G Man head to head in golf. He was back in Ohio. We went out and had it out at Rolling Meadows.
Oh, yeah.
Early in the morning. We're the first ones off the tee. T Money knocks off G Man by 3, and he gets the title, the family title from the G Man. So Congratulations, T Money. I just want everybody to know about that. How you were hitting the ball and playing, man. You were doing a great job. But hey, y'all, if you like what you're seeing, go like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify and Instagram and many other platforms. Look for our handle at Father, Son, and Holy Sport. We got a great show for you tonight. We have Clay Hall joining us tonight on the Father, Son Coast to Coast Hotline. We're going to talk college basketball and Buckeye football with the sports director of the local Columbus, Ohio, ABC Fox affiliate. And we're going to give you some big picks tonight that can help you win some cash this weekend. We have Ross V. Ross for tonight. Focus on what's causing all the upsets in the NCAA tournament. Is it parity or is it lack of preparation? And we're trying to stump T Money again in the trivia of the week, sponsored by Winwise IQ. And T Money, the question for you this week, see what you got, man. The Big Ten received 9 bids this year, but the most ever was the Big East in 2011. Did any of those teams in 2011 make the Final Four? We're going to see if T Money knows the answer to that question. The Big Ten received 9 bids this year. The Big East in 2011 had more than that. And did any of those 2011 Big East teams make it to the Final Four? That's your Woundwise trivia coming up soon. But kicking things off for you right now is the T. Ross Chuggin Chant, brought to you by Help Me Startup. Help Me Startup. Do you have a startup or a new company idea? Why not get help from the experts at Help Me Startup? Try the easy-to-use startup tools and advice to help you get moving on your way toward investment and success. Learn more at helpmestartup.co. So T Money, let's go up to T Money. He's up high on the San Francisco rooftops for the T. Ross Chuggin Chant.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's T Money up here on the rooftop in San Francisco. I got a couple things to say. You know, I've done a few rants on some different conferences in Gonzaga the past few weeks. Well, let me give you a chug here. Then I'm going to chant a little bit about the Big Ten because, man, do they have it coming. Cheers. Woo! All right, Big Ten. What the hell happened to you? Most embarrassing NCAA tournament by a conference by far. You were the favorite to make it. You end up losing everyone before the Sweet 16 other than Michigan, who lost their best player, by the way. So let's give them some props for getting there. Everyone else, I mean, you had Ohio State lose in the first round to a 15 seed. What's going on? Well, meanwhile, I'm in Pac-12 country making fun of them last week, and these guys go 9-1. Man, Big Ten embarrassing showing. Iowa, what the hell are you doing? Letting Oregon score 95 on you. I mean, it was just an overall horrible weekend. Illinois, the title favorite, my pick to win it all. I thought they had everything they needed. Look exhausted, and they lose to Loyola Chicago, their hometown rivals. What the hell is going on here, Big Ten? Embarrassing. You need some new coaches in there. You need some fresh faces. You need some more dynamic offenses. Come on. Get it together, Big Ten. Super embarrassing showing, and you should all be embarrassed. Gary, you probably have my back, right?
And hey, thanks, T. That was awesome. Once again, I love seeing you chug those beers, man. I love that. Yes, I have your back, T Money. I have your back. How many times did we talk about the Big Ten and their teams during the year? And here comes T Money back. Hey, man, we talked about Illinois and Ohio State and Purdue and Iowa. Come on, man. What's with these guys? The Big Ten had 9 invites to the tournament. And this is what we get? Come on, man. I know you were nice to the Big 12 team, money, but they let us down too. Texas, Oklahoma State, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that was bad. Big 12 was pretty rough, but the Big 10 was just bad. They had a record for their conference to ever make it from the Big 10, which was 9. And they go 8 of 9 losing before the Sweet 16. I mean, that was rough. Michigan, the only one making it through. I mean, Ohio State losing, Illinois losing. I mean, these were some bad losses. Like they had two seeds and a 1 seed gone before the Sweet 16, their 3 highest seeds. That's bad. I mean, 3 of the 4 highest seeds, Michigan, their only hope, but they're without their best player. The Big 10, man, was supposed to be by far the best conference and looking like one of the worst.
Yeah. It's tough to recover from that. The SEC in football, they've always dominated. They have that respect. And, who is that in basketball? We thought we had something, but it wasn't. It was a fleeting moment. But here's something interesting as you look forward on the Big Ten. The Big Ten has not won a national title since when?
I believe it was Ohio State.
Michigan State, the year 2000. Michigan State. Mateen Cleaves, remember him?
Yeah.
You were young. You were a young whippersnapper, man.
I was thinking Greg Osen back in the day.
You were a young whippersnapper back then. But hey, history indicates it's too early to write off the Big Ten chances of ending a championship. Michigan's still in it. And if you look at the stats and the numbers, Michigan could still win this tournament. Definitely. And could bring the Big Ten another title, and that would get some respect back.
For sure. And I, as much as I hope that Michigan wins it personally, I don't know if they can get over that hump, but they have the talent and they're great on defense. But like I said, when you lose your most dynamic ball handler and player, before the tournament, you're most likely not going to get through. But there's a reason they were number 2 in the country this year. They have skills other than him, but losing that livers really hurts us. So.
Well, this kind of rolls into our Ross v. Ross, same topic, why there's so many upsets. I pose the question, is it because of parity or is it due to lack of preparation? What do you think? Why is there so many upsets so far?
So I don't think it's lack of parity or anything. I honestly am going to take a different route and say this is a weird year because of COVID. All right. I think that there were a lot of COVID negative tests, COVID positive tests, constantly taking tests. I mean, that can, take a toll on a player and a coach. Not only that, you test positive, you're out a week, or your best player's gone, or your whole team's not playing for, Michigan had a month layoff at one point and things like that. So I think that along with a smaller preseason for a lot of these guys, like not practicing in the summer with your team and, not having preseason games or easy out of conference games for a lot of these bigger teams to get tuned up on. I mean, these are a lot of little things that can add up to a team not being ready to give it their full go and be completely equipped with the tools to win in the tournament when some of these small schools and mid-majors tend to be senior laden. Whereas, these other teams like Illinois and these guys are younger and, need a little more time and preparation to get caught up quicker.
I agree with you that it's not parity. I don't think it's any more than usual. We've had tournaments like this before. We'll see this weekend. After this weekend, is it going to be the 1s and 2s that are still standing, or is it more of these double-digit seeds? I think we got to see that play out because we've had a lot of tournaments like this, and then the 1s and 2s go on to the Final Four, and maybe there's one Cinderella. I think the biggest reason is lack of preparation. I don't think these teams were ready to play. I blame it on the coaches. I blame it on the leaders of the team, and I point to Texas. Abilene beats Texas by 1 point. They were not ready. Come on. This is something just like, look at the schools in Ohio, playing Ohio State, if it's one of the smaller schools in Ohio. That's what it was like. And Abilene, who's from West Texas, does not have the athletes of Texas. I'm sorry. They're not even close in terms of that. So it's got to be something else. I think it's leadership and coaching They were not ready to play that game. Abilene beats Texas in the very next game. UCLA beats Abilene by 20. That just proves the point right there. How does UCLA beat them by 20? I look at Purdue in the South region. They lost to North Texas, and then North Texas gets beat by 23 in the next game. These teams are not ready to play, man.
No, I think that they went in with a lot of cockiness. I think playing conference-only schedules can sometimes get you used to playing a certain way or versus certain people, and you're not ready for anything new. I think a lot of the, especially Big Ten, thought that they were going to come in and just kill everyone. But I think, like the Big Ten plays a certain style of basketball, hard, gritty basketball. And then you get Loyola Chicago coming in here just flying around and playing some crazy, weird defenses and running an awkward offense and stuff. And Illinois doesn't know what to do and doesn't know how to adjust because they've only played the Iowas 3 times and Wisconsin 2 times. They're all the same team. Wisconsin and Iowa could flip players and be the same exact teams. So, I think playing conference only can kind of mess you up in preparation and thinking that you've done enough because you've played them multiple times. But I think a lot of these teams came in thinking they were going to, be ready to go, but they haven't played those softer schedules and been able to get used to playing some awkward major teams.
Come on, you're talking about major college coaches. They got to get these teams ready, man. Be creative, figure out ways to invent a practice where you have intensity. You got to do it, man. You got to figure it out. I'll tell you the other thing I see is the seeding. I think there's a seeding issue this year in this tournament, and I bring up the example of Oregon State. Oregon State should have been seeded higher, man. Look at their. I'm looking at their schedule. Okay, they beat the heck out of Utah on February 18th. They lose to Colorado, who was just in the tournament till the last game. They lost by 4. Then they beat California. They beat Stanford. They beat Utah. They lost to Oregon. We know Oregon's a good team. Now they go into the Pac-12 tournament. They have to win that tournament or they're out. They're not going to make it. They beat UCLA. Okay? They beat Oregon. And they beat Colorado. That's their finish. And look where they got seeded. Number 12 in the NCAA tournament. What's that seed? How does that seed happen? Now they go into the NCAA tournament. The first round, they beat Tennessee, crushed them, by 14. And then they beat Oklahoma State by 10.
Yeah.
Is that team a 12 seed?
I don't know. I totally agree with seeding. I thought there was a lot of really weird seeds that they put together here, like Loyola Chicago, ranked top 10 by most computers in Ken Palm rankings. They had only a couple losses on the season, but they get put in an 8 seed, and clearly they're better than that. Clearly. But I think there was a lot of big league bias this year because we didn't get those out-of-conference games to get a gauge of who actually can play versus other conferences. And so clearly Big Ten comes in like, oh, these teams are all awesome. And little do we know the Big Ten is trash. So you just don't know when you're not playing out of conference. But I totally agree. The seeding was weird this year. They did not get it right.
Well, we're going to talk some more college basketball with our next guest. We're going to get into the Big Ten and especially the Buckeyes because Clay Hall is from Columbus, longtime Columbus guy. But used to be in the SEC conference doing reporting and things and came back here, but has had a long career in Columbus, Ohio. Clay Hall is our special guest for you today on the Father-Son Coast to Coast Hotline. You fans, you're going to love Clay Hall. Let's bring in Clay now. All right, we welcome into the Father-Son Coast to Coast Hotline Clay Hall. We're going to talk college basketball mostly, but a little bit of Buckeye football with the sports director of the local Columbus ABC Fox affiliate, one of the big fans of the show, Clay Hall. Welcome to the Father-Son Coast to Coast Hotline.
Well, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for the invite. Love to chat it up. I was spent about a half hour today on Fox Sports Ohio, so I'm all warmed up and I'm ready to go.
All right. You're on the B program. Now you're on the A program. We see what you're saying. We see what you're saying.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, Clay, we're excited to get your perspective, especially in the middle of this March Madness. But before we do that, just looking at your background and notice that prior to your 25-year stint with WSYX WTTE, you were down in SEC country. What was that like down there?
Yeah, it's interesting to have both of those backgrounds. Though I went to high school in Columbus, I ended up going to school down south. It was a strange thing. I kind of a small town kid. I went to Mississippi State, which of course is in Stark Vegas, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is my hero, even
I
at
was going to say
63
Dak
years old.
Prescott.
That cat put a university and a state on his back, and took a team that is certainly one of the have-nots in that league and made them number one. I recall the athletic director at that time said, "I think I'm living in an alternate universe," because things like that don't happen in Stark Vegas. But I mean, baseball is really what they were good at. Ohio State was just too big for me. Most of the kids I went to high school with either went there or Ohio University, and certainly we've lived vicariously through the Bobcats here the last few days.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
I got into TV, guys, by accident. I had 2 newspaper jobs. And where did you go? And a guy said, offered me a chance to get into TV. It was kind of like Columbus, where, one person owned all the radio, TV, et cetera. And I said, I'm enough ham. I'll try it. And yeah, 35 years later, I'm still grinding because I'm certainly TV because of my looks. I am a dog-faced grinder who loves to cover sports, and that's why I do it.
That's
and
awesome.
You're doing an awesome job, and we love listening to you and watching you and all your shows. You are Buckeye all the way through. So we're glad you worked your way back to Ohio. And let's jump into the first topic here on the Ohio State. We got to touch on Ohio State basketball, even though it hurts about their performance. And, Michigan just beat LSU. They advanced to the Sweet 16, and the Buckeyes don't get past the first round against Oral Roberts. What the Buckeyes fans want to know, and I know you're the best one to have a feel for this, why did this happen? How does Michigan advance like this and the Buckeyes do so poorly?
I think that the Big Ten teams play this rugged schedule, 20 games, and they all play the same style. I heard some folks talking about this the other day, and it dawned on me. There's no basketball equivalent of Joe Tiller. There's no, I think they need an influx of coaches from everywhere. Pac-12 and the South is playing the best basketball. Michigan's got a talented team. I thought they'd take a step back without Isaiah Livers. I don't know what happened. I really don't. I mean, Ohio State had multiple chances to tie or go ahead and win the game. This thing is upside down. But I do think when you play 4 games in 4 days like they did in the Big Ten tournament, it stresses you. And I also think they're lacking presence in the middle. They need another big. They were down Kyle Young. They don't have a rim protector. They don't have a Micah Potter. I think he would have exhausted his eligibility here when he transferred to West Virginia. He sat out. So he wouldn't have, I don't think, been on this team. I'd have to look back to make sure. But they need that kind of player. And against Oral Roberts, they just didn't shoot it well. Now, how and why E.J. Liddell took all the heat for that.
Really weird.
That's another 30-minute conversation, because I think those idiots, those cowards, lost a lot of money. We're looking for somebody to take it out on. E.J. Liddell, 23 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. He did his thing. Dwayne was a little off. Orange couldn't hit late. It happens. But my bracket, good grief. I had Ohio State. I had Illinois winning it. But now we got to take a step back and analyze Big Ten basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. The Illinois I had winning at Ohio State in my Final Four. Michigan I had losing early because they lost Livers, but they're the only ones standing. I think you're right. The type of competition we've been playing in the Big Ten is very different than Loyola Chicago when they come out and play, just completely different style of offense and defense. Just rattles, an exhausted Illinois after, like you said, Ohio State went 4 games in 4 days. Same thing with Illinois. They just looked like there was no gas left in the tank at the end of that game.
No, I concur. I absolutely, I hear you. I feel you. I just think they see too much of the same thing in that 20-game stretch. And the Pac-12 is stunning. Oregon State is stunning. I don't know. Loyola, incredible. And they've got a local kid. They have a kid from Hilliard, Braden Norris, playing guard. And I'm here for that Cameron Krutwig all day long.
Oh, my gosh.
They are inspiring. And Ohio was, and they ran into a pretty good Creighton team. So that has run its course. But awfully proud for Jeff Bowles, the former Buckeye assistant. And led the Bobcats as a player to the big dance in 1994. And if you saw his post game, very emotional. And I think that's what's so neat about sports, when that's what a team's about. And you thrive on each other. And I think when you've been through that 3 or 4 or 5 month deal where you're having so much fun and the camaraderie is incredible. I mean, I don't think it gets any better than that. So congratulations to them. They get to hang an NCAA banner, and the Buckeyes have to work on their roster for next year.
Well, that's a good point. That's a nice segue. I was going to talk about next year and what your view was. And we got this Branham kid from Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, LeBron School, 6'4", 175 shooting guard, ranked 29th overall in the 2022 class. And his team just won the state championship, Division II in Ohio. He scores 37. He's going to be a Buckeye. So what do you think about next year's team, bringing in Branham and maybe some other guys?
Yeah, I certainly was watching Branham play in the state title game as they took on a Central Ohio team. 3 Central Ohio teams had a shot to win the state last weekend, and none of them came up with the W.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking for me, especially Westerville Central, who had played so well to get there. As you said, Branham's a real deal, 37 points. He's got the pedigree. And, St. V won their 9th state title. Now, is the deck a little stacked? Well, do they recruit? I don't know. But, excuse me, they looked awfully good in knocking off, what was that, the D2 title?
D2 title, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they took care of DeSales, and then Westville.
Yeah, DeSales. It was DeSales, yeah.
Yeah, and they, what was interesting, the Stallions led that game by 4 or 5 at halftime, and then St. V just slapped the press.
Took over.
Yeah, just got after them in a big way. But I like Branham. I did a piece on him probably a month and a half ago. He's that 6'4" swing guy who can do a lot of things well.
Well, that's great. We're really excited about the Buckeyes next year. We got a lot of Buckeye fans who watch the show, but they're not all Buckeye fans, but we got a ton of them. And I want to move on to talk about March Madness the rest of the way. And when you guys look at, start with Clay, when you guys look at the Final Four, of these 16 teams that are there, which one do you think, Clay, were you most impressed with that you think, can get to that Final Four?
Really impressed with Creighton, really impressed with Loyola. Impressed with Bama. I think Bama plays at a different speed. I got to go get my busted bracket because I gave up after. I was so busted by the first weekend.
Yeah.
And when Illinois went down, I could not believe it. They had all the pieces to put it together. No, I'd be interested in hear what you guys think. I'm trying to.
What do you think?
I'm trying to think.
Money, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I love Loyola going forward. I wish I had done a little. I liked them, but I just loved Illinois. Like you said, I thought they had all the pieces, and they ranked 9th in the country in Ken Palm's rankings going into the tournament. So it's not like there wasn't indications that they had the ability. But if I had to choose someone else, I like Oregon. Can they
Do you?
score
Yeah.
at will? They play small ball. They start a 6'6" guy at center. And they started him versus Luka Garza. I mean, if you can start a 6'6" guy versus him, you can do it versus anybody. So he dropped 36, but it didn't matter. They can outscore him.
They annihilated Iowa. It was another Big Ten team really getting embarrassed.
It was bad. Yeah.
I like the Alabama Crimson Tide. I got the Zoom background behind me. I've got Alabama on my Zoom background, Clay. And that's because I liked Alabama going into their tournament in the SEC. They won the regular season. They won the conference tournament. And now in the playoffs, they've beaten Iona. They've had an easy route, really. All three of the teams they beat are double digit. And Maryland, they beat 96-77. And now they've got Alabama. Well, they didn't beat Alabama, UCLA. UCLA is an 11 seed. They got them next. And they're headed toward a showdown with Michigan. It could be Alabama, Michigan in that final there.
Yeah. Greg Byrne, their athletic director, who came from Mississippi State, by the way, just a little shout out, made an excellent hire. Excellent hire. It was Oates from Buffalo.
Yep.
And he has got them cooking. So yeah, I like them a lot.
We got the West is Gonzaga, the South is Baylor, East is Michigan, and the Midwest is Houston. Those are the lead seeds in each of the regions.
You know what's neat with Mark Few, and this may be his best team. I don't know. He may have had some others who busted on the way, but I thought I heard this on the air the other night, and I think it's so cool that he has been approached numerous times about other jobs, and he's never interviewed. He loves Spokane so much and coaching the Zags and fly fishing in that area. He said, I've got life by the tail. And I've never been a believer, frankly, in Gonzaga, but now I think I'm going to have to. They're going to drag me kicking and screaming into the Final Four, and let's see what happens.
No.
Who do you pick to win it all, Clay? Who do you pick to win it all? If you had to pick right now.
See, I don't watch Gonzaga enough.
I like Gonzaga this year. Like you said, Clay.
Yeah.
I did a rant on them a few weeks back, how they're not an elite program until they can prove that they can win a championship. Mark Few's been there like 22 years now.
Yeah,
22.
And so, I love their team this year specifically because they finally have the senior laden, great team, but with NBA talent. You know, Jalen Suggs is really, really good. You see him out there and he looks like an NBA player. You know, the expert kid is pretty solid. You know, they have NBA players for once instead of just a great senior laden team. And I think that might get him over the hump this year.
Yeah. It would not surprise me.
Yeah.
Hey, let's shift gears. We're kind of working our way toward the finish here. Having Clay Hall on the show here tonight. We're really excited to have Clay, the sports director at Fox and ABC local affiliate here. I want to talk a little bit about Buckeye football. Looking forward because everybody here is excited about it, and I want to talk a little bit first about the quarterback situation. We got Kyle McCord coming in. Chance for a freshman to potentially start at quarterback. He's I know you know this, Clay. I'm helping out our viewers. McCord's a 5-star recruit. He's ranked 26 overall in the class, and he's only the third 5-star quarterback to sign with the Buckeyes. That could potentially start. Terrell Pryor and Braxton Miller were the last two. What do you think about McCord coming in? Can he take the job from the two sophomores and start for the Buckeyes?
I think he could because he's played so much more football in the last year than have CJ Stroud and Jack Miller. So, and Ryan Day made it clear about 2 weeks ago, this kid is fighting for the job. He is in the mix, and he was the National High School Player of the Year. They identified him early. He is a prototype, drop back passer. When is the last time I was trying to think, because there have been so many dual threat guys this would be, to me, a major departure for Ohio State. And I think it is what Ryan Day is bringing to the equation, that he can raise the bar a little bit as the quarterback whisperer. And that's an area that he's good at. He's brought some guys along, certainly Fields and Haskins as well. And I think he sees a chance there to elevate the Buckeyes through the quarterback play. So I can't wait to see. I mean, we're dying to see these guys in uniform. They do put on the pads tomorrow, but again, we're not out of the COVID whatever. But there was a couple of requests made this week that if the Bucks practice in the shoe, we can certainly distance there. And Day said, love to have you. So I think we may get a sneak peek. I don't know when that will be, but I'm told Jack Miller is kind of that Joe Burrow-like player, and Stroud may be closer to Fields, though I don't put him in that class yet because none of them have done anything. And that's what the way Ryan was approaching it. There's no determinations. There's no ratings. There's no nothing. They're all getting equal reps. And, this thing is going to go into the fall. I feel certain. And we'll go from there. But
and all our best to Justin Fields. Justin Fields moving on to the pros. We don't know where he's going to go in the draft, but man, we love Justin Fields. He took Clemson to the woodshed, and that's why he's going to go in that second or third pick. T-Money, what do you think about Justin Fields, his position in the draft?
Yeah, I am stunned to think he would fall to 15, like some people are saying the Patriots. Ryan Day kind of got on his high horse a little bit the other day when people asked, we're hearing that his stock is dropping, and he was like, this kid is going to make plays in the NFL. I don't care what you say or what you do. You will not be able to stop him. Is he the finished product? Maybe not. But I think he has a very bright future. His game against Clemson is one of the best I've ever seen in watching college football for almost 50 years. Incredible. Given the fact that he took that hit and just kept on ticking. I thought it was an amazing performance. And it's too bad that they went in shorthanded against Bama. Bama's the 33rd team in the National Football League, but if you have Togiai and you have Tyreek Smith and you're not anyway, I think we would have had a game there. And it's a shame it worked out that way, but COVID really wreaked havoc with Ohio State, stop, start, the whole thing. So anyway.
Well, before you, we let you go, going into next year, they were in the playoff last year. Can they, I think they can win the Big Ten, even with one of those younger quarterbacks. Can they make the playoffs? Because I know my Cincinnati Bearcats are going to be ready for you. Okay. My Bearcats are going to be ready. Will the Buckeyes be there ready to play us?
You know what? I am a huge Luke Fickell fan. I told Gene Smith when it all went down with Tressel, I said, you got to take care of that guy because he's the one that stood up in the fire, man. Yeah. He's the one who could have said, no, I'm not going to jeopardize my chances with this. I don't even get to hire a staff. I don't get to, and he's the one he didn't spit the bit, man. He did what he had to do. Crushing loss to Michigan that year. But at any rate, I'm so thrilled for him. And my question to you is, my man, are you going to be able to hang on to one of the hottest guys in college football?
I don't know. He seems pretty comfortable down there, and he's already got raises. We've already given him contract extensions. He's actually turned away money already to give to his assistant coaches. So they're trying to build even the assistant coaches long-term. Now we lost our D coordinator to Notre Dame, who's great. He is awesome. But I think Luke Fickell kind of helped run that side, so I'm not too worried about the defense. But I mean,
Yeah.
his recruiting is what's really turning us around. Right now I think we're ranked 13th in the country for class of 2022 or something. So long way to
Yeah.
go. But I mean, that's what he's changed. It's the whole culture down there is awesome.
Yeah, I think he calls it the state of Cincinnati. They recruit that. There's a lot of tremendous prep football there with Moeller and X.
Yeah.
I diverted your question. Yeah, put the Buckeyes in the playoffs if they get
All right.
even a serviceable quarterback, and I think they will be a lot better than that. They got 6 running backs in that room, by the way.
Yeah.
6 scholarship running backs today, and they talked. And Travion Henderson, the highly recruited player, said, I just want to take the first hit because that'll wake me up and I will be ready to go. So Teague, Master Teague, kind of the incumbent, but there's a lot of guys pushing for time in there. And I was impressed with Mayan Williams last year, who got very little time, but every time he did, he impressed. So, hopefully hopefully guys, we play a full schedule and we get back to somewhat normalcy. It is like Ryan Day said the other day, we've been to this point so many times where we're just cooking right along and things are going great. And then you get smacked in the mouth by some, they had to pause. It wasn't that long ago, but hopefully it feels like to me that we are getting back to normal.
Yeah.
Well, we are very excited. You get us psyched up talking about them putting the pads on, Clay. Getting psyched up, man. Hey, we have about 30 seconds left before we wrap up. I don't know if you have any special causes or anything you want to share with our audience before we say goodbye to you. And what's it like to be?
I've been. Go ahead. I've been blessed.
Oh, you go.
Family, 3 sons, all raised here in Columbus, and a wife who is long suffering and is just the delight of my life. And we just celebrated 39 years and anniversary about a couple of weeks ago. So that's what keeps me between the ditches, are those people who I love so much. So thank you again for having me. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We love that. And Clay, we're all excited about 2021. We got the 2020 behind us. Now we can focus and have some fun. And thanks for coming on to the father-son coast-to-coast hotline. And best of luck this year, and go Bucks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, thanks so much. Show. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
You bet.
Thanks. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Clay Hall, T-Money.
Yeah.
What a fun interview.
Oh, that was fun. He knows his stuff, man. Love talking, Big Ten, Ohio State football and basketball with him. And that was a great interview. He's a funny guy.
Yeah. What'd you think? Did you get all your questions answered? You have any other thoughts?
Yeah.
After interviewing Clay, what was on your mind? What are you thinking about?
I mean, it was a good one. The only thing that interests me is they have OSU has a 5-star quarterback coming in this year. And then they have the number 1 overall prospect, and number 1 quarterback 5-star coming in next year. So, how's that dynamic going to work when you have multiple 5-stars? Like he said, they haven't had a ton of 5-stars. They've only had, was it Dwayne and Braxton? Now you're going to have the 2 sophomores and 2 5-stars at the same time. I think that's going to be the interesting thing that I'd love to hear his opinion on, but that's another day.
Well, I mean, I really appreciate him bringing his college sports and his Buckeye insights into our March Madness. And then he got me pumped up talking about football practices starting. When you're a Buckeye, we're disappointed, of course, in basketball, but we always have that football season to look forward to. Yeah. Hey, what did he say that caught your attention, man? The thing I really love the fact that when we ask him at the end, do you have anything you want to say in the next 30 seconds? And the guy recognizes his family. I'm a Clay Hall. I'm really impressed that he was that professional and that thoughtful to mention his family. He didn't talk about, some sporting event he was at. He talked about his family and his love for his family. I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, great guy. Great guy. I hope to talk to him again soon on the show.
Yeah, that would be great. Hey, let's move on to our picks, man. We're just killing everybody with college basketball, but hey, we're in the middle of March Madness. We're in the Sweet 16. So what do you guys want us to do? I mean, we are just giving it. We're shooting it into your veins, man. We're shooting it into your veins. We got 2 picks for you tonight. We got the biggest upset pick in the next round. Of course, we have 16 teams. They're going to play Saturday, Sunday. And after that, it'll be down to the final 4. But we're going to talk about our biggest upset of the next round. And then we're going to talk about the Cinderella of the final 4. So let's start with our biggest upsets to the next round. Team Money, what are you thinking?
Yep. I know we're doing spread here, everybody. We're not doing just straight seeding, but
going by spread. Yeah.
Either way, I'm going to take USC over Oregon here. I believe it's just 6-7, but I think that Oregon.
I got USC -1 on that one.
I'd have met 2.5.
All right.
On my sports book that I was looking at.
Okay.
But either way, I think Oregon blows them out. 10 plus. Okay. I mean, it's going to be interesting because
you love that Oregon team, man.
I do, man. If
you're going to turn into a Duck, you're a West Coast guy, man. Going for the Oregon Ducks.
I'm going to get my Mighty Ducks jersey out next week. They win this game, but I think they just have everything that they could really give USC fits. So I think that's a great matchup.
Well, I'm going to look at, we look at the Saturday games. There's 4 Saturday games, and we got 4 Sunday games. So I look at the Saturday games. Baylor's going to win, man. Sorry. Arkansas going to beat Oral Roberts. I'm sorry, man. And Houston's going to beat Syracuse. So I got to go to, on a Saturday, I'm looking at Oregon State to beat Loyola Chicago. Oregon State's getting 6.5. I'm going to take the points, and I'm going to bet the money line. Oregon State's going to take Loyola. Everybody's talking about Loyola. Watch out, my friends. The Beavers are going to beat Loyola.
All right.
And then on Sunday, I looked at the Sunday games. Gonzaga's going to get past Creighton. My Bama boys are going to win this one again. And so I'm going to lean toward Florida State upsetting Michigan. Florida State's getting 3 points. Only 3 points, man. I thought it'd be more than that. That tells me somebody knows something somewhere. Florida State +3. I'm going Florida State to upset Michigan.
All right. I'm going to be rooting for Michigan. But my weird question here is why does Gary get 2 picks and I only get 1 here? The producers in the back telling me you get 1 pick.
Somebody's talking into my ear right now.
Yeah, someone's, where's my 2 picks? Okay.
Somebody's talking into my ear.
He gets 2. That's fine. Let me give you my daily picks. Right. That's fine. Oregon's going to the goddamn national championship. Your other picks can suck.
Hey, let's focus on our second pick, which is Cinderella of the final 4.
Gary's third pick.
Okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And we're talking next week to all of our fans here. There's going to be 4 teams standing. Which one's going to be the Cinderella?
So Cinderella's hard for me because I think 4 and up, you can't consider yourself a Cinderella here, right?
I agree.
It seems a little too high of a seed. So for me, I think I'm going against your upset that you just told me about, which is why you shouldn't have said this. Oregon State's going to get destroyed by Loyola. All right. I like Loyola a lot. I'm not worried about Oregon State at all. I'm worried about Houston a little bit. I like Houston. They're a good team, but man, Loyola can play. They play a really funky offense, super hard defense. Teams have a hard time adjusting to them because they're not used to anything that they play all year long. I like Loyola to make the Final 4 here.
This is like Ross v. Ross 2, man.
Come on.
All right, well, my Cinderella final. I'm going to tell you who my Final 4 picks are. In the South, Baylor gets in. They look great. In the East, Alabama gets in as the 2 seed. And in the West, and this is not my Cinderella, USC gets in the West. They beat the heck out of Kansas. They got an elite defense. They got the Mobley brothers.
Yeah.
They're favored by 1 over Oregon. They're favored over Oregon, man. So don't say that I'm pulling an upset there. USC is going to beat Oregon.
I said the upset.
And they're going to go on and beat Gonzaga and get into this thing. And my upset pick, my Cinderella, my second and my biggest Cinderella is Oregon State, coached by Wayne Tinkle. They started the Pac-12 tournament with a 14-12 record. Okay, so they had to win to get in. They proceed to win that Pac-12 conference, as I talked about. They get the automatic bid by beating 3 tournament teams in 3 days. How about that? 2 of them are UCLA and Oregon. that they
Yeah.
beat in those 3 days. So they've had 5 straight win and go home scenarios against NCAA tournament teams, and they won them all. This is going to be one of the biggest stories of the year. Oregon State making the Final Four.
Okay, well, they're going to lose that game. 1. Okay, 2. Gary gets another 2 picks. What is going on here?
I have
What the hell's
2
going on?
Cinderellas. I have 2
That's what they-
Cinderellas.
So here's my thing, audience. This is what's going to happen, everybody. Oregon State makes the Final Four. Told you so. And if they don't, and USC does, told you so. He's going to get two Cinderella options here.
That's a good point.
Taking this lying down. This is bullshit. Gary's over here getting 2 picks, getting to show off and maybe double down on some picks here. Producers, where the hell am I being told that I can only do 1 pick? And Gary's like, well, let me give you a couple options here, double down, just in case one doesn't hit. What the heck's that?
Hey, yeah, when the prince took Cinderella to the ball, he decided to just take 1 Cinderella. But I've got 2 arms. I'm taking 2 Cinderellas to the ball. Hey, let's move on to the Woundwise
my
Trivia of the
God.
Week. Woundwise Trivia of the Week brought to you by Woundwise IQ. It's the patented mobile imaging and analytics software app that is used by leading physicians and nurses caring for people with chronic wounds. Just download the app and you're ready to go. Learn more at woundwiseiq.com. T-Money, working our way to the finish of a great show. We're in the middle of March Madness 2021. Who would have thought we would have all these games happening? We got past COVID. We're doing great as a nation, and we're fired up about basketball. I'm going to bring you back to the 2011 year because the Big Ten got 9 bids this year. We know they got 1 team left out of those 9, but the most ever was the Big East in 2011. And did any of those teams in 2011 make the Final Four?
They didn't just make the Final Four. UConn won the national title.
Oh, man, you got that, bro. You got that.
Kemba Walker, the step back over Pitt Center. I remember that because I saw Kemba Walker play wearing this jersey in Fifth Third Arena in Cincinnati. And I remember getting to watch the national champion play. That was awesome. That was that year. I don't
Look
know
at
if any
you.
other teams made it from the Big East. I'm not sure, but I know that they won.
You were a freshman at Cincinnati, and we
Yeah.
used to go to those Cincinnati playoff games every year, man. That was so much fun.
So fun.
But yeah, you're right. The Big East tournament, they entered as the 9 seed. They pretty much
Yep.
had to win that thing. They win 5 games in 5 days to
Yep.
win the automatic bid. And so they defeated 4 teams that were ranked in the top 25 to get there. So then they go into the NCAA tournament. They get a number 3 seed because of what they did in the tournament. So they go in as a 3 seed, go on to win it all. They finish the season 11 consecutive wins, and they become the first team in Division I history to play 41 games in a season.
Crazy. Very interesting.
MVP was Kemba Walker. They had 4 players
Oh,
that
yeah.
were 4 players drafted into the NBA off that team. You believe that? And
I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
the other interesting thing is that in the final, they beat Butler, who was coached by Brad Stevens. And now Brad Stevens and Kemba Walker are together on the Celtics. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild. I mean, I remember that Butler game. It was crazy. So that was just awesome. And it was a fun year. Kemba Walker was just unbelievable. It was so fun.
He took over. He
really
No one really
did.
knew who he was, and he just took over at the end of the year, and he showed what he could do. Kemba!
Yeah.
Hey, we hope you love the show. You know that we love you. Thanks to Clay Hall for joining us on the Father-Son Coast to Coast Hotline. Thank you to Woundwise IQ for sponsoring our Trivia of the Week. And thank you to Help Me Startup for sponsoring the T. Ross Chuggin' Champ. If you're interested in sponsoring one of our upcoming shows, please reach out to T Money or me. Next week, we're going to talk about the Final Four. And then, hey, the week after that, we're going to start working our way to the Masters.
Oh, yeah.
All right, it's starting to get springtime out here. Hit the golf ball. Get ready for that. If you're interested in being a guest, just let us know. If you like the show, press the like and subscribe button at Father, Son, and Holy Sport. T Money, good luck with your picks, man. It's me and you. We're going to go down.
right. bring it on. I'm interested to see if you and your 13 different Cinderellas make it and all your upset picks. I'm excited for you, but come on, Loyola, let's just shake this thing up. It's going to be a fun weekend. G-Man, I'll talk to you soon.
Roll Tide.
All right, see you.